Welcome to the medical classroom with Gerald, and today I'll be taking you through the introduction to the upper limb. We are going to do a little introduction and also cover part of the osteology of the upper limb. We shall mainly cover the clavicle. If you find the video helpful, please subscribe and share to your friends. I need you to first get these books. Get Clinical Oriented Anatomy, get Gray's Anatomy for students, get Snell's Clinical Anatomy by regions. And it would be better if you first read on the body section. The body section is in Gray's Anatomy. You can find it on page 5, or you can read General Orientation in Snell's Clinical Anatomy by regions from page 16 to page 23. So I expect you first of all at first understand what we mean by the anatomical position, get the anatomical planes, and get the descriptive words for location and for movement. Remember, when you're doing exams, you have to expect, especially your first anatomy exam, you have to expect 2 to 5, 1 to 3 objective questions from this part. In locations, you have to know which part is always medial or lateral venous structure, superficial, deep, proximal, distal, cranial, caudal, anterior and posterior, then rostral. You have to first know these descriptive terms for location, and they are based in Gray's Anatomy, as I've told you, page 5, or in Snell's Clinical Anatomy by regions from page 16. And then open clinical oriented anatomy and read on the overview of the upper limb. You don't need to start gambling with AI on what. First go to that page, always based on textbooks. Read page 395, and I need you to focus on this. Know the 4 segments of the upper limb. They will talk of the shoulder, they will talk of the arm, forearm, and the hand. And you also see that diagram on page 396. It is a diagram having those regions and the bones and the respective bones. And then also take a look at the diagram on page 398. See how these segments are further divided into regions. You will take a look at the clavipectoral, the scapular, pectoral girdle, the hand, the wrist, dorsum of the hand. All those regions are on that diagram. And then after understanding that, you've understood the body, anatomical position, planes, you've seen the overview, then there we can start with the osteology. And for this anatomy, you find ways of making it fun while you're reading it. So it is going to be entirely up to you. You're going to find ways of making it fun. Then this osteology, like I've said, we are using a COA, or Clinical Oriented Anatomy. We are starting from page 402. I see that diagram, and then let's begin with clavicle. Clavicle is on the next page, or in Snell's Clinical Oriented Anatomy by regions, it's on page 218, or you can also check it out in Visceram, page 11. Mainly the clavicle, you have to appreciate that it has 3 main parts: the sternal end, the shaft, and the acromial end. Study those diagrams there, for the respective parts. But for your exams, I need you to know that the sternal end articulates with the manubrium of the sternum, forming sternoclavicular joint. And the type of this joint is synovial saddle joint. Then the acromial end articulates with the acromion of the scapula, and it forms acromioclavicular joint. And the type of the joint, it is synovial plane or grinding joint. These things are questionable in your exams. You need to know them. Then on the respective parts, know that the subclavian groove, that groove which is always in the shaft, it provides attachment for subclavius muscle. The conoid tubercle for conoid ligament, and the trapezoid line for trapezoid ligament. Trapezoid line does not inhabit the trapezius muscle. You have to know that. It provides attachment for trapezoid ligament. And these two ligaments form what we call the colacoclavicular ligament, where the conoid ligament forms the medial part, whereas the trapezoid ligament forms the lateral part. Then you need to know the 5 muscles that are attached on the clavicle. The pectoralis major, you will need to know further where it is attached, where its heads, the clavicular head attaches, on which surface. Then the sternocleidomastoid, subclavius, deltoid, trapezius. And we are seeing that this deltoid, it is on the anterior border, and that anterior border of the clavicle gives its origin. But the trapezius, which is on the posterior border, it just inserts there. So you will need to know the different locations of this muscle, as we shall be seeing in the subsequent videos. Then we need to appreciate the different ligaments that are attached on the clavicle. And we are seeing we have the costoclavicular ligament, which is on the impression of that costoclavicular ligament. We have interclavicular, colacoclavicular. And then I also need you to read about the side determination. You can check it out on visual and page level, and how to hold the clavicle in the anatomical position. And then on ossification, remember this can't miss in your exams. You have to first know what is the type of ossification. Clavicle undergoes membranocartilaginous ossification. Membranocartilaginous ossification, meaning it ossifies in the membrane and in the cartilage. Most of it ossifies in the membrane except its medial end, which is in the cartilage. And then go on to appreciate the site of appearance of these different centers. The 2 primary centers which are in the shaft, they are appearing in 5 to 6 weeks of intrauterine life, and they fuse by the 45th day. And then we have 2 secondary centers, one at the sternal end and one at the acromion. The one at the sternal end appears between 19 to 20, and it may be 2 years earlier in females, and it fuses by the 25th year. This you can't forget. And then the one at the acromion end, it appears by the 20th year and fuses immediately. Then you also need to know about the peculiar or unique features of the clavicle. First of all, appreciate that it's the only long bone which lies horizontally. It has no medullary cavity. It's the first bone to begin ossification and the last one to complete it. It's the only bone which ossifies in the membrane except for its medial end. Take that medial end as a serious note. And then we are having the clinical anatomy. The fracture of the clavicle, remember it is the most commonly fracture, and that fracture happens mainly on the junction between the lateral 1/3 and medial 2/3. And then we have the congenital anomalies. We have mainly the clavicular dystosis and the cleidocranial dystosis. The clavicular is where we are having separate medial and lateral ends due to failure of fusion of the primary centers, and the cranial dystosis, it's due to incomplete or partial absence